this kind of ties down to especially why you played these two open tournaments, St. Louis Masters, after the US Masters as well. Obviously, the big fight is for the first, in fact, candidates of 2026. It starts already in 2024 because there's two candidate spots that qualify from the FIDE circuit. You're vying for position with Arjun Ervigaisi right now for first position to get that first qualifying spot. And it's kind of an important one. It's a huge one. Obviously, qualifying to candidates is not a guarantee for anybody. You've done it this year, through pretty much any means that you could have done it from. The World Cup, I think the rating, a couple of others. I don't remember exactly. The FIDE circuit, I think you won that as well, or you qualified through that as well.
Mhm.
So
I mean, that's officially how. Oh no, sorry, officially through the World Cup.
it was quite easy, but this is
Gukesh
not a
officially through the
guarantee.
FIDE circuit last time.
This is not a guarantee, and it would free up a lot of your time and a lot of your energy if you do qualify in 2024. It's a huge race. It's hugely important, and it all comes down to not these open events, but probably the World Rapid and Blitz, which is later in December. Now, going into St. Louis Masters after winning outright the US Masters, pretty good position, but you knew that you had to score quite well in St. Louis Masters. There's this graph on Twitter that we were kind of guiding ourselves from. And it was saying that if you win it outright, if you win St. Louis Masters outright, then it's going to be fairly impossible for Arjun to catch up with you, at least before the World Rapid and Blitz. So
I mean, it would be impossible before the World Rapid and Blitz, but it wouldn't be impossible.
It wouldn't be impossible overall, but it would be impossible before the Rapid and Blitz, which again weighs a lot as well, and it's going to go down to the wire. Now, how did you approach this event, or did you not have even enough time to think about it? You just went on, try to play your games, try to maintain your energy, and just play your usual chess. How did you approach it?
I mean, I didn't have much time. Like it was one day in between, just one day, so I knew the schedule would be very tough. And it was. Like I was pretty brutally tired throughout the second tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, even the first tournament, like 2 games a day is I mean, you imagine that you're playing like 8 hours of chess a day, every day. It's not even that because like a single game will have the emotions of one game, but 2 games will have the emotions of 2 games. So there's also like the emotional drainage because you're playing each game you have to play for a result, right? And in one game it could be an 8 hour game even, which never happens, but it could happen. But there's only one point on the table, right? So if you have 2 games and each of them are very dramatic, which sometimes happens, then you have a lot of emotional ups and downs, and that does take energy. It just makes you tired. So yeah, then we still played 2 games a day in the St. Louis Masters, which was a stronger event than the US Masters for 2 reasons. One was that the like top players were a bit higher rated overall, but the main reason was that there weren't so many low rated players. So that there were very few, in fact. Um, there was like maybe one person under 2,300. That's about it, maybe two. And so in the first round, I already played a strong grandmaster. I played Gleb Dudin. So like 2,500. I think he's going to one of the universities in the United States. But
Yeah, very strong player. UT Rio Grande Valley, some national champions some years back. Definitely, I would say, I think he's board number one for them, at least the captain of the team. He's definitely playing very well in general, and he plays a lot, travels to Europe very often, represents, I think, Hungary right now. Definitely a very talented player and somebody that can upset absolutely anybody. And he's not afraid of anybody. In fact, after he lost against you, which was a very good start for you, he scored very well in the remaining games. So talented player.
yeah,
I think he's about
wasn't
2,500. He used to be 2,560, 2,570. So definitely not an easy one.
Yeah, so I played like already very strong players from the start, and then soon I was playing 2600 plus guys, and then also I played in one of the rounds Sam Shankland. I think it was round four, who has been 2700 plus for a long time. Now he's a bit under that, but you know, he's at his peak like a
30,
2720 to 30 player, right?
something like that.
Something like that. So I was already playing players who have, you know, seen the top of the chess world, some of them. Uh, while in US Masters, I mean, the strongest player I played was Nico Theodorou. I also played him in St. Louis Masters, and he did beat me. So he is very strong, and I do find him a difficult opponent, um, which is one of the reasons why he beat me. Uh, but besides that, I don't think I played anyone over 2600.
Is it because of the
While,
style? Let's drill down on that without, let's say, revealing too many of your
well,
problems you
I
have.
don't
But
know.
why do
I
you find
mean,
him a difficult opponent?
no, I mean, he, like, he plays a kind of chess which, um, it's going to be difficult even if you're beating him. So it's not like when I say that, it doesn't mean that I expect to have bad results against him. It's just that he's playing like very fighting chess. So even if you win, it's probably going to be a pretty tough game, and you're going to have to calculate a lot. Um, and the thing is, like, you do definitely get chances against him. Normally, normally this is a type of opponent who I score pretty well against because I give chances, they give chances, but in the end, things usually will work out. But somehow, in the three games that we played, I didn't beat him. I lost one, I drew two. All three games I was winning at some point. Um, so it's kind of funny, but it's also limited sample size. I mean, I think he's a tough opponent. I would never take him lightly. Let me put it that way. But there's no reason why I should feel unconfident against him.
He's a player that can, in fact, and has had incredible results against some of the best players. I think he defeated Levon in India at the Olympiad. He defeated Rajabov in some of the open tournaments. I think it was
I think it was
Qatar
Qatar, but
Masters last year.
he beat Rajabov in like
Out
18
of the
moves.
opening, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was a bit of a brief game.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
Capable player.
yeah, of course. No, he's a very good player. I played like a really nice game against Sam, I thought. I found like one move that I was quite proud of, Queen H4, which was like the only way to really put pressure. And I even thought during the game that I was like basically winning, and I think he thought the same thing. But but he had some very very surprising defense there. And but that he didn't see it, and I won. But I was very proud of this Queen H4 move, which I did have to dig quite deep because it's not the first move that comes to mind. Let's say things are hanging, and then you kind of just leave them hanging. So it's a bit surprising. Like he has a bunch of things around my king. I can start trading pieces off, but instead I just leave it all hanging. Um, and yeah, and then after I beat Sam, I'm like in a very good position at that point in the tournament. Um,
I think you're half a
and
point ahead, or maybe even a full point lead.
no, at that point I should be half a point
Half a
ahead
point. Mm-hmm.
and ahead of Sam because I played him and I was playing up. He had a perfect score. I had drawn a game. And then okay, I drew to Nico, but then I did win two more games. I beat Emilio Cordova. Who else did I beat?
I think after Emilio, you you drew
Yeah, but
pretty
there was a
quickly.
game after Sam. Oh, I beat Mark Hyman. So it was like I drew Nico, then I beat Emilio, then I beat Mark Hyman, then I drew Grigori, and then in the last round I played Donchenko. And
Before we go to that, I do feel like we should talk a little bit about Hyman, because this is a guy that pretty much came out of nowhere. He doesn't have, let's say, a resounding, ongoing, full-time career in the chess world. He's an IT guy. He's an IT specialist. He's a bodybuilder, apparently, and also he plays chess occasionally. He works, I believe, in IT in the Bay Area. And he had the best two tournaments by far of his life. Competed head to head with some really strong players, including yourself. I believe he gained about 50, maybe more rating points, scored two GM norms, completed his title. And all in all, it just felt like a guy that it's extremely difficult to beat, plays fast according to the time format, very, very well according to the time format, and gets lucky occasionally. Sure, you know, you need some luck in this type of encounters, especially over a long two tournaments. But yeah, just tell me, what do you think about this player? You've got to face him twice, and it wasn't easy.
I think he's very underrated. I think like maybe his name sound familiar. His name sounds familiar from when I was a kid because we're around the same age, and I think there were like two brothers who were quite talented as kids. Mark Hyman. Like this is from my memory of it, but it was a long time ago. So it's not like really an unfamiliar name if this is the person I'm thinking of. But yeah, he left chess at some point. He pursued other things, and he came back and got his grandmaster title, which was I imagine was his goal. So it's a goal accomplished. And yeah, he's definitely underrated. Um, Now how underrated, I don't really know because he's like 2459 by FIDE rating. Now, when I played him, I did beat him twice, but I didn't find either game easy whatsoever. Maybe the second game to agree was easy to a degree was easier for sure, but still neither game was easy. Uh, but it's hard for me to gauge. Like I think I said he's around 2550 strength, but it's very hard to gauge because of course, if you judge by two tournaments, well, it's still quite a small sample size, um, and who knows what his strength and his rating will stabilize around. But from the games that we played and from seeing his results, well, first of all, he performed like 2700 plus in both tournaments, the US Masters and St. Louis Masters. Um, but yeah, from those tournaments, I would definitely estimate a level of like 2550 plus.
Yeah, he showed
And
he showed something along those lines, and he was a big a big fighter in most of these games. Like sometimes he was getting worse positions. I can reference the game against Grigory where he got a worse position with the black pieces, close to losing. Definitely under tremendous attack, a position in which a lot of players would have faltered, would have given up, and he didn't. He fought. He won that game. Now, a lot of it is riding on the fact that the time format kind of incentivizes you to maintain your fighting spirit, because once players reach their last minute, their last couple of minutes, once you start feeling that pressure of the clock, everybody makes mistakes. Absolutely everybody makes mistakes. You don't get the second time control. This is very typical of opens nowadays, especially opens with 2 rounds a day. So I feel this was a huge reason why we've seen some of these players that maybe were not expected to do so well do very, very well. Fighting spirit, I think, in this type of events is very important. What do you think about that?
I think like the main thing is that if you don't overthink things, it really goes a long way.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
tend to make a lot of mistakes because they're overthinking things. If you play fast and like reasonable natural moves, I mean, I'm not saying that like it's easy, but reasonable natural moves, for a player who's at like grandmaster level, you'll see that a lot of their mistakes are not going to be because they had some lack of understanding, but it's because they did something silly, either in time trouble or because they were overthinking things at some point. Those are very often like if you avoid that, you play quickly, it really does go a long way. Uh,
I would say that I think you're spot on that, because I feel this is what I lacked a lot in this event, and this is what I was doing very, very badly. That obviously because I haven't played maybe in a long time, and I wasn't used to the pressure. I wasn't used to the, you know, competitive chess. And chess has changed in the last few years since I became a bit less active. I would say everybody plays very well. Everybody calculates very well. Players at the 23, even 2200 level can be very capable players.